Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar. Just a short segment taking a look at some of the stories outside of the normal college football or Dallas Cowboys discussions that we have. And there are quite a bit of storylines going on outside in the other parts of the sports world. And go ahead and start off with some baseball, and start off with baseball because of what took place with the or actually I want to start off with Monday Night Football. Excuse me, Monday Night Football. Last night, great game. I was wondering your guys' thoughts on the big fourth down call there at the end.
I like it. Go win on the road. You're the Bills. You should do it. Look, you got a 6'5", 240-pound quarterback who had to go less than a yard. Most of the time, that's an easy thing. But Simmons made a fantastic play on the line. It completely blew up Deion Dawkins, the guy who was blocking him. I mean, he took him down and Josh Allen, who slipped at the same time. So it was really impressive. I like it when you go win a game. I like it. If they have 17 games, the Bills are going to win most of their games. This one is not going to derail them in any way now.
We're seeing more and more people go for it on fourth down. No matter where. We've seen Aranda do it. We've seen Mike McCarthy do it. I know that at times you're like, sometimes he does it when you don't think he should, and vice versa. Same thing. It's part of the analytics. It's part of the analytics. It's also just a gut feeling. I didn't think they did anything wrong. The problem is that has anyone ever been bigger, better, faster, stronger than Derrick Henry?
No. He's a freak show. He really is. And had maybe a couple texts back and forth with my sister, and one of them I sent he should have picked Derrick Henry at number 1 overall.
Oh, she was not. No.
She's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. I'll take a bit of the heat on that one. I told her not to.
The only person who said to draft Derrick Henry, apparently, that she talked to was her boyfriend of several years, and he's the one she didn't listen to. She listened to everybody else, but didn't listen to him.
Not good news.
But no. There was a play where Derrick Henry had like a 22-yard run, and I can't remember who the defensive back was that had to tackle him, but you could see he was like
wincing.
He was like, all right, I know I got to do this. And I'm sure he went back over the sideline and be like, hey, tell my family I love them. I mean, this hurts.
Yeah, I mean, that was a ballsy call. It didn't work out, but like you said, it doesn't really hurt the Bills in a killer kind of way at all. They could afford to lose a game. So, yeah, they dropped to 4-2, but what a nice stop by the Titans. And Derrick Henry, he is just absolutely a freak show. That ended up being a pretty good game when all was said and done. So curious if y'all had seen that in the big fourth down call there at the very end. Elsewhere in the NFL, Texans have released defensive end Whitney Merciless. He's been with the team for 134 games, third most games played by a player in Texans franchise history. He said the parting of ways was a mutual thing, so at least it sounds like it wasn't, the longtime veteran and, things are bad and he gets cut. But he said moving to a contending team is the direction that he wanted to go, as you might imagine, especially for a vet like that, and that competing for a title would be a cherry on top of his career. Cal McNair said there aren't many players in franchise history who have impacted our organization and community the way that Merciless has, and he will always be considered a member of the organization. So Whitney Merciless, a longtime Texan, no longer a Texan.
And he'll have suitors, for sure.
Yep, he definitely will. So that is one piece of news from here in the state of Texas. Also, going back to baseball, which I accidentally actually started off with. But right now, Game 3, got the Braves and the Dodgers. The Dodgers currently with a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the second inning. And that is Game 3 with Atlanta leading that series 2-0. So they'll need to come back to try to win.
Atlanta's come back. That's
far
it's
from
the
top.
over.
It's bottom of the second. It's very early on.
Well, they miss Max Muncy, don't they?
Yeah, yes, they do. Former Baylor great, Max Muncy, Baylor baseball great. But also tonight, as Braves-Dodgers is going to last here over the next few hours, most certainly, a little team by the name of the Red Sox, up 2-1. playing host to the Astros, Game 4. And Paul, what are your thoughts at this point?
I've kind of snorted the Sox cocaine right now. I mean, it's in my veins. That game last night was
they mauled
them, and
team that mauls you, they mauled them.
What I did not realize was Lance McCullers is out. They already played most of the year without Justin Verlander. So the Astros that you would normally, Greinke is going to pitch tonight, and he's hardly pitched in a month. And so the Astros are up against it because they don't have the pitching depth that they had. The Red Sox don't have any pitching depth, but they will absolutely just knock the ball over the yard and get you into the bullpen really quickly. Eduardo Rodriguez last night got into the 6th inning, meaning that he pitched 6 innings, which is more than all of the Astros starters combined. So if the Red Sox keep that up, that's great. Really hoping the Braves, if the Red Sox would somehow make the World Series, I'm really hoping it's the Braves and not the Dodgers. But, who knows?
I say this of the Astros, and I know for our good friend Mike George, who lives and dies with them, they're also one that you have to cut the head off the snake to eventually put them away. Remember that Dodgers series?
They need to win. Yeah. They absolutely need to win tonight and put them on the ropes in a Fenway Park elimination game. Otherwise, this thing's going to get weird.
Yeah.
Yep, so that'll be tonight starting at just after 8 o'clock. Or is it just after 7 or just after 8, Paul?
Just after 7.
Okay, just after 7 because it looked like Eastern
7:08
time.
Central. Yep.
Yeah, 7:08. Couldn't tell if this was Central or Eastern time on here. But, yeah, right now, bottom 2, Dodgers up 2-0 on the Braves. Braves up 2-0. And then tonight, Red Sox up 2-1. Against the Astros, it'll be Zach Greinke on the hill for Houston and Nick Pivetta for the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, Pavetta's a young guy, had a nice regular season, but the playoffs in Fenway Park's a different thing. I will say this, though, the funniest things I've ever seen last night was in the post game. It was so loud on Lansdowne Street where they were doing the post game, and they're all cheering for Big Papi, and Big Papi's going, "Listen to the genius, listen to the genius," and it was, I mean, he's rounding them up, and they're yelling, "A-Rod sucks," and A-Rod's just laughing it off. He knows where he is. You couldn't hear anybody really because the crowd full of drunk Red Sox fans was just deafening.
One of the cool parts of that game was Cora, the Red Sox manager, who's been in that web of what was going on 2 or 3 years ago, when his relief pitcher struck out or got Correa out and kind of started, what was he, pointing at the Apple Watch or whatever it was, and Cora jumped him. Don't do that. You could see him screaming that. He said, "We just show up, we play, and we move on," and he knows that. I let him know we don't have to do that. If we're looking for motivation outside of what we're trying to accomplish, we're in the wrong business, and so you still have to win 4 games.
You know who loved it? Carlos Correa, which is why you don't do it.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good contest later on tonight between the Astros and the Red Sox. That'll be good stuff. Did you all realize, well, Paul did, of course, WNBA champion was crowned over the weekend. Paul, your breakdown.
The Chicago Sky, right?
Candace Parker, Paul.
Yeah, Candace Parker, long overdue for Candace.
You actually did know that, okay.
Yeah, I did. And I do know this as well. That the Phoenix Mercury have been fined by the WNBA.
Yeah, that's led me to this.
For not doing media.
Yep.
And who plays for the Phoenix Mercury?
Brittany Griner.
Who did not want to do media after they lost in Oklahoma City.
I think I saw a note, and I don't know, it might have been from Michelle Vopel, who's covered women's sports forever, and we've had her on when it's come to women's basketball at college. She was disappointed. I'm of the opinion, and I understand that losses can be gut-wrenching. We've had to face this ourselves when we have tried to get interviews after gut-wrenching, shocking losses, whatever. If you're interviewed and you're always there when you win, you have to be there when you lose. It's part of the deal. No excuses. Don't give me any reason that it's a tough time.
Here's the thing. I can teach you how to get it over with quickly.
Yes.
Just be a dick when people come and ask you questions. Be there, but be like, look, it's just tough. I can't do it. Okay, it's over. I'm done with this.
But you have to be there, and you can't say. And I'm going to say this. No, it does seem to happen. Am I right? More often when it's a women's team that's involved in the loss.
I don't know.
I don't know about that. I mean, it happens.
I think you're maybe thinking of Naomi Osaka and letting that influence you.
It's happened to us with that a couple times, but I don't know about nationally.
I've never seen it ever in a men's locker room, football, men's basketball, whatever. And that doesn't mean it has never happened. But in my personal experience, that's what's happened.
I will say this, that the I mean, now the policy is different because of COVID, but in the last few years of the Cowboys pre-COVID, you'd be in that locker room, and if they lost a game, especially to a team they wouldn't have, you've got that 20-minute cooling off period, and then they shower. Poof. There's a lot of guys who really take that, quick shower and out the door.
Like it's running, they go. But the NFL players, Pro Football Writers Association, they keep track of that.
Yeah.
And eventually you could also find yourself signing a check.
Yeah, there were a couple guys who were pretty good at
disappearing.
One of them used to play here.
Yes, he's a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Yeah, so they were fined $10,000. Diana Taurasi also broke through a door, apparently. Also elsewhere, Jeremy Pruitt, former Tennessee head coach, he is threatening, or his lawyer at least, is threatening a lawsuit as Tennessee will not settle with Jeremy Pruitt. The lawyer said, or gave UT an ultimatum this month per the Knoxville News, either reach a settlement with Pruitt by October 29th or face a lawsuit that has the potential to, quote, cripple UT's athletic programs for years. The university,
so how's that different?
I don't know. The university appears that they're going to be standing their ground. They have no plans to settle and have promised a vigorous defense if Pruitt does, in fact, take them to court. And a lawsuit, according to a lawyer that the USA Today or Knoxville News had talked to, said that, the lawsuit's almost a certainty if they don't come to terms on some type of an agreement. So you have Pruitt saying, hey, pay me my money or we're going to go to court. And Tennessee's saying, well, we're not paying your money, so it looks like we're going to court. So Lyons, his Pruitt's attorney, said, on behalf of my client, I could tell you that he's not happy that this is the only choice they've left him with, but he's not going to walk away without getting his day in court. He's going to file a lawsuit. They're not leaving him much choice. He had been fired back in January when they had uncovered some NCAA rules violations and whatnot, and said that he had failed to monitor or promote an atmosphere of compliance, which is a line that we hear all the time, when coaches are being fired. But he did not get any of his $12.6 million buyout money, so you can see how he is probably wanting some of that. Wanting a little bit of that.
I think he'll end up, to walk away, they'll probably come up with something, but Tennessee might just say, oh, no, we'll go all the way to the end. You end up spending more money with the lawyers and attorneys than you do and possibly even what you have to pay the guy.
Yeah, Tennessee's lawyer responded. Their general counsel said, your letter, talking to Pruitt's lawyer, said, your letter contains no denials of your client's actions. Instead, you raise vague and unsupported allegations of other violations by the university and threaten to embarrass the university publicly by revealing these alleged violations. The university emphatically denies these allegations and will not be intimidated into settling with your client based on your unsupported assertions. So a little bit of a legal battle brewing between Jeremy Pruitt and the Tennessee Volunteers. This was a weird story from today as the NBA season is getting kicked off. I mean, the media was all set to go, and they were going to interview Ben Simmons. Those covering the Sixers were going to interview Ben Simmons, but he has been suspended for one game due to conduct detrimental to the team. That media session got canceled, so he will not play in their debut coming up tomorrow night against the New Orleans Pelicans. The Sixers released an official statement saying that he had been suspended for conduct detrimental, but it sounds like Sixers coach, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, threw Ben Simmons out of practice today. The suspension came shortly thereafter. Rivers told the media that, or I guess he talked about it for a little bit, and he told the media that Simmons had to leave practice because he didn't want to do what everyone else is doing. And Rivers said that it was no big deal. He just thought that he was a distraction and that he didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. So he told him he should leave.
Yeah, I wish that there had been some sort of...
what Joe Embiid said about him?
Yeah, I wish there was some sort of coverage all summer long about Ben Simmons and his feelings towards the Sixers, because I am totally, for one, blindsided by this.
Right? Yeah.
Shams Charania said that... apparently what happened exactly was that Rivers was asking him to do some type of a defensive drill. Simmons said no. He asked him again. He said no again, and then he just said go home. So big team player, that Ben Simmons. He's in the news for every reason other than playing basketball, it feels like. I hear about him, and it has nothing to do with on the court, like 75% of the time.
You know what's sad, though, is you hear all that stuff, and if he was traded to a lot of NBA fans' teams, he'd be like, Ben Simmons is going to change everything. Yeah, probably. Not the way you want it, though.
Yeah, Adam Silver actually had a comment on it. He said he was on ESPN's NBA Today show, and he said there's a reason why we have contracts in this league. If everyone just complied according to handshakes, you wouldn't need those documents. When you have situations like this, people, of course, turn to the contract and expect players to honor it from their standpoint, and players expect teams to honor contracts. So that's kind of what he had to say on that, and I guess he was going to be monitoring it a little bit further, but I did see Joel Embiid's comments, and he pretty much just said, like, I'm over it. I'm totally over it.
Well, he does whatever he does.
Yeah. So there will be a $1.4 million fine apparently coming his way, but that's like the $5 I got in my pocket right now to most of these guys.
I feel bad for the 4 strippers he was going to dump that down. So
yeah. And finally, this is a more of a somber note, and this was from yesterday. This news first broke, but closing out off the radar with the news about Dick Vitale, longtime ESPN announcer. He announced yesterday that he has been diagnosed with cancer. It's the second diagnosis of cancer he's had in the last 3 months. He had fully recovered after having surgery to remove melanoma back in the summertime. Said he's been diagnosed with lymphoma, so he'll begin treatment with steroids, 6 months of chemotherapy. He's been told he's got a 90% success rate, but he knows it's going to be a lot tougher to beat. Said he considers himself lucky, and he's seen the devastation cancer can have on families and loved ones, and it can bring you to your knees. So he's just very, very classy, as you would expect, Dick Vitale, in light of news like that. So best luck to
Friend
Dickie V.
of the program,
Yeah.
for sure.
He's never not responded to a text when I've sent it to him. I don't send him that often to get him on the show. And he, of course, maybe has raised as much money for the Jim Valvano, I guess.
Jimmy V Foundation.
Yeah, foundation as anybody, I can imagine. So good luck to Dickie V.
Yep, so not to end on a sad note, but just best wishes to Dickie V. And those are a few stories off our typical radar.
All right, at 5:11 coming up, but we'll hear from David Hellman. He covers the Cowboys. They are red hot. They have the bye week. Just in time for Tyron Smith to kind of work out his aches and pains and Dak Prescott's calf. And we'll have David Hellman with Paul Catalina is next on Sikkim 365.